Now, there's a few due information that we must give every time we speak about this project, and this is part of our contract, but is also something we are very happy to do because we think it's worth to recall that things like these are possible under cooperation programs and cooperation funds provided by our country. In this case, Italy, because under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have the Italian Agency for Development Cooperation. And the project was designed, I don't want to really steal your time explaining you the background, but I want you to know that the idea doesn't come out of the blue or out of the will to make something without any previous sharing. There was a yearly process of discussion, of problem analysis, and exchange among outstanding representatives of the countries, leading to a proposal which was submitted to the Italian Agency for Development Cooperation of the Ministry, and it was later approved under the name of Water Medin. Okay. The three main logos you see there are the, let's say, Italian side of the thing. You will see later those I recalled from the countries, from the partner countries. The project itself, to give you a very nutshell of what is it about, lasts initially 12 months, which is extended now until the end of July this year. But I tell you, we are working for extending it to be able to organize live events by the end of the project. The donor, I recalled it already, the countries are Lebanon, Palestine, and Tunisia. We say that already. The counterparts within the countries are the ministries of agriculture, and they assigned a few implementing agencies, which are the host institutions or the institutions where our national coordinators belong, including CNRS in Lebanon and NSTM in Tunisia, which is part of IRESA, as we know. In Palestine, we don't have this kind of setting because the Agriculture Ministry has assigned directly a person which is not part of any institution, which is Samer Jarrah. Look now at the list of beneficiaries. We have direct and indirect. This is typical, let's say, project language. And please note that within the direct beneficiaries, we have innovative startups led by women and young entrepreneurs, where we call young those under 35 years old, okay? Of course, whenever you work with someone who in turn has whatever, any kind of relations, meaning clients in the case of a startup or a target institution, if it wants to improve the services and so on, we have what we call indirect beneficiaries, okay? And these are in the list at the bottom of this slide. But let me proceed quick. Okay, I'm also admitting someone from the waiting room. And very quickly on the objectives of the project, but this is important because it will be recalled later in the subject or in the focus of the call. So we aim at contributing to the sustainable development as established by the SDG frame, Sustainable Development Goals, in the Mediterranean region by promoting youth entrepreneurial initiatives, as well as youth inclusion and socioeconomic opportunities in water resources management in both marine and coastal areas, okay? When it comes to a specific objective, because that is the huge, let's say the large frame of the project, what we try and achieve in the few months we have for the project is to enhance the contribution given by youth-led innovative companies to the sustainable management of water and coastal and marine resources, okay? And this reference will be there for the rest of our talk and initiatives. Now, a few words more on the sustainable development goals. We know very well there's 17 of them, and we know very well that they are very much interlinked. So it is very hard to speak about one of them without overlapping with some activities or goal or purposes described under another, okay? We, for a sake of conceiving achievable objectives within the short term of this project, have focused on these four, but these are not the only allowed, okay? For instance, you don't find explicitly the marine life here. which is part of what we certainly want to contribute at, and so on. So the SDG 8 refers to promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full as well as full of productive employment and decent work for all. The SDG 6 is about ensuring availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. The SDG 9 is about building resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. And SDG 15 is protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, biodiversity, and so on. Okay. I think most of you already know that under each SDG, we have a set of targets, of specific targets, and we specified a few of them under each of the 4 objectives I've just recalled. These include target 8.3, which is promote development-oriented policies that support productive activities, decent job creation, entrepreneurship, creativity and innovation, and encourage the formalizations and growth of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, including through access to financial services. The target 6A under SDG 6 is to expand international cooperation and capacity building support to developing countries in water and sanitation related activities and programs, including water harvesting, desalination, water efficiency, wastewater treatment, recycling, and reuse technology. While the target 6B refers to support and strengthen the participation of local communities in improving water and sanitation management. Going to target 9, we aim at supporting domestic technology development, research and innovation in developing countries, including by ensuring a conducive policy environment for, inter alia, industrial diversification and value addition to commodities. And 9.8 speaks about significantly increase the access to information by 2020, of course. Target 15.3 refers to combat desertification, restore degraded land and soil, including land affected by desertification through drought and floods, and strive to achieve a land degradation neutral world. Okay. So any activity, any idea, any proposal, any project which has an impact on these lists, and similarly to specific targets of other SDGs that we can recall to the general and the specific objective of this project are very likely to be highly considered in the selection of the call we're speaking about. Okay. And I will go fast here because what we really are interested at in this moment is to speak about the result 3 expected to be achieved within the term of the project, which is working with young entrepreneurs. So what we want is young entrepreneurs with an innovative idea are coached and supported for business creation. Okay. And of course, this cannot come along, and it comes with whatever is behind and around what we call the ecosystem. Okay. So we work also on networking among incubators and other innovation support organizations, including technology transfers offices, accelerators, investors, and so on and so forth. And we know very well that within this world, there's many actors that it's very worth to put in contact and to make and to enable to exchange and to grow together and to bring together to new ideas to life. While on the 4th pillar of the project, you have the communication and dissemination of networking opportunities for companies and for ISOs, and of course also the sensitization and awareness raising among the broader community. And here I take advantage to take, let's say, a rest in this discourse, in this speaking flow, to mention the communication activities in the project. And if I'm not wrong, Gabriele is here with us today. We have a team of people working at central level in communication and in the countries. Why this? Because we believe very much that an enabling environment passes also through sensitization and through sharing of news and ideas and the possibility to work together to achieve the results as described under the targets of the SDGs before. Okay, so these are the four pillars. Let's go specifically to the result 3, which I call just very simply empowering startups. And this goes through a structured journey, which includes specific activities, which are the call we are to speak about today, we're speaking about today, and subsequently the evaluation and the selection of the business ideas we will receive. And once we shape the group of startups to train, the training will take place. It will be followed by a second selection step, which will provide a shorter list of startups which will receive financial support, a dedicated coaching of midterm, and at the end of that, will attend to a brokerage event in Italy. Okay, let's see that in a bit more of detail. About the call, this is where we are now today. I mean, the call was published on the 24th of February. The deadline, as you know, probably well, it's updated to the 31st of March, otherwise it will be over since the 20th of this month. And we are here now to clarify the situation and go to the frequently asked questions, so to call it shortly. I'm sorry for the misspelling there. And of course, we will have a registration followed by an application phase, which are separated. As most of you probably know, when you registered, you received the link to which you should submit the application. And finally, we want to speak about the documents to prepare to submit the application, which are in this list, okay? Those who have carefully read the call and those who have a habit to participate to similar calls probably don't need this clarification, but having been part of a few screening committees and then juries over the past years, let me tell you that it is very important to really carefully read a call to understand what exactly is the possibility that the call offers and the conditions in terms of paper required and activities allowed and the kind of goal. If you are totally out of the goal of a call, then probably it's not even worth applying. If you think that stressing a particular aspect or feature of your idea would make it enter in the call, then probably this call can contribute to build a piece of your broader project. And if you put that under the correct light, the project, the proposal will be seen rather positively than out of scope. Okay, just a little hint, especially for the younger ones in the audience. Okay. So what we are asking to enable you to pass through to the selection phase, because there will be a screening of the applications received before. We want a copy of a valid identity document of each one and the self-declaration on the criminal records. You find the details in the call, but you can ask me if you need. And we want to know the age of the startup at stake. And this is why we ask for a certificate of establishment. I can tell you already, we have had a few questions from particular areas where this kind of papers is complicated to get, at least within the terms established by this deadline. So you can replace that with a self-declaration accompanied by the request you made to the official issuing authority of your country, okay? I mean, who gives the certification of where you were when you were established? You should refer to them and ask again for a certificate of establishment of your company or where the procedure is if you are still on the go to the formal registration, okay? And those who have been to the call website, to the page of the call in the website of Watermedin already know that the application is basically an Excel file where you can fill a few cells and not others. And there's an approach behind that. It's to make all the proposals easily and feasibly comparable, giving the same standards to everybody, to accelerate the selection and to force the participants to emphasize the added value of their proposal compared to any other in the same field. Okay, so no wonder if you have few words to specify who is the team composed by and why the team is composed like that, their age, their gender, and then the expertise of each one, followed by a description of the proposal itself. What is the product? What is the business? What is the service? What is the innovation you are trying and proposing for this call? This is what we are very interested at. Okay. And the application in Excel format is important for us to process the data quickly, while the application in PDF format is the very same piece of document, but when you save it as a PDF, we all will be sure that no one has manipulated your proposal. I mean, that is your proposal, and we can refer to that as the final document you submitted, okay? And we can circulate it much more easily. While the lean model canvas is a standard that those of you who are familiar with this kind of business, of course, know already, and it is a very good approach to show how big is your clarity on your business idea, on your proposed idea, and how do you address the most important elements to take into consideration when designing one similar project, okay? Last but not least, there is a list of possible additional files you can add to boost the credibility and creativity in your idea. So there's a few formats allowed and the extension limit of these files, because otherwise our servers will be overloaded and the material will be too much and it will be taking more importance than the application itself, okay? But I would stress the importance of adding this kind of elements for the jury to assess your proposals, okay? Now, another specification which is very important to me at this level is when we say that we need one document with all the valid identity document of the entire team, you mess it up when you send 4 PDF with 4 ID or 4 passports or whatever, okay? One folder that should contain 5 files becomes a folder which contains 15 files, which is just more confusing, is more time consuming to manage, and cutting the effectiveness of the screening and the passing to the jury of the facts. So please go to the call instructions and follow them carefully while preparing the application. As you can see in the call, there's even instructions on how to code single files you will submit with the application, and this will help a lot. One, our work behind, and two, you to stress how clear and good is the work you can do. Okay, so this is for the folder for the documents to submit. Let's proceed. Once we have the deadline closed, we will start the evaluation and selection of the proposal received, of the project received. And this is also a step-by-step process. Of course, we have to formally appoint a jury, and we have to make a check on the eligibility of the applications that we receive. And once we select the eligible application, we will send them by country to the national jury. And beware, for instance, that a proposal arriving from Libya, Egypt, or Kenya will be discarded automatically, okay? So this is the kind of check of screening that will be made first on all the proposals. And of course, if no data is provided about the composition of the team, or no documents attached, ID documents, and so on, well, the jury will might make a separate assessment on whom to contact to ask integrations of the proposals, or whom to discard because the folder received, that the application received, is simply too poor, too bad to look worthy a second option or a clarification session with a startup or the team that has sent it. Okay, and interviews may take place with these startups in this phase, and leading finally to the publication of the results. And we will ask for a registration of the persons subscribed to the training that will take place shortly after, will start shortly after, as a form of acceptance. Okay. So for you to know, if you receive a communication that says that you are part of the program and we ask you to join the training starting on, so to say, April 19th, okay, you will have 48 hours to register, okay, or to clarify why you're late registering. Otherwise, we will pass to the next in the ranking, okay? Now, as you see, there's two yellow arrows in there, and these refer to the eligibility check. So we have to check if, sorry, we have to check if you have made the due registration, if the nationality is correct. The legal nature of the applicant is very important. I mean, it must be a for-profit thing, depending on the national legislation and on the condition of the company or the startup registering in there. We will also check if it is a feasible application or not, and if the application is complete, as I was mentioning earlier. Then you see the light yellow things in the bottom, in the last part of the list, which are two items referring to the age of the team members and to the gender of the team members. As mentioned repeatedly at the beginning of this session, we favor youth entrepreneurship and women-led initiatives, okay? But this does not mean that even elder, so to say, companies and startuppers or entrepreneurs cannot participate. If you think that you are in the focus and fulfill the priorities of the project, if your idea matches what we were saying earlier and what Roberto Golini will say to us in a while, I would suggest you to participate anyway. Also, because participating to this call, all in all, is not a big waste of time. You are not required to fill endless proposals with 4 pages description of each aspect and so on and so forth. It is a light thing. So I would encourage you to try and to have a try and see what happens, hoping that the selection will give priority to some of the things that are in your application, in your proposal. And this is for the eligibility, okay? When it comes to the evaluation of the single proposals, as I was just telling, the team composition plays a role here. The quality of the proposal plays a role, which means we are not to support ideas which are badly described or don't take into consideration our priorities, the time frame imposed by the timing of the project, and so on. It must be, even because the format is very short, so every single word, every single uh, element you choose to stress will have a weight in your proposal and therefore in the evaluation. So please pay attention to the innovation content, both in terms of social and technological innovation, and to the relevance of the project to the specific sustainable development goals. And the creative presentation, the additional files we were speaking about earlier, are also important, as well as the feasibility of the proposal. I mean, we are granting a 10,000 euro voucher to be spent over the next months. and we want to have the possibility to prove to the donor and to ourselves that within such a short term, we can take good ideas in a, let's say, starting to mid-advanced status or ready to rocket, to be very widely implemented and so on. And participating to this program makes a difference. Okay, we will speak shortly about what the program is exactly offering, but of course we will be happy to work with someone who starts in 2-3 weeks with us, and that after a few months has really had an impact from this project, and the difference is very well visible on what happened to his or her business or the business of this team. Okay, so the feasibility. Coming to the training and coaching. Okay, out of don't know how many proposals we will receive per country, we will bring 10 to a intensive training program. Okay, the program will work on a plot I'm going to describe in these slides. There will be an opening, an introductory session that will give the institutions implied in this project to give their point of view, but especially to a few outstanding experts from businesses, from enterprises, companies that work within the sustainability business, or the business aspect of sustainability, to highlight and show the way they approached the problem they work on and the way they suggest you to make the same thing. Okay, and then the second session will be the starting of the core training. Now, the core training will take place at the same time for Lebanon, Palestine, and Tunisia together. We will have 10 startups per country with 2 representatives, 2 registered members. Of course, then it's up to you to see if one single person will follow the training permanently, if you want to be 2 behind the screen, while one is registered and one should be displayed. All those who go on display should be registered for very strict privacy rules we have to undergo here. So coming back to the numbers, we will have 20 participants per country, which means 60 participants in the plenary part of each training session. This will last like about 90 minutes, okay? 1.5 hours. Then there will be a breakout room per country. So there will be a smaller number of participants with one single coach talking for about 1 hour of the main subject addressed in the plenary. And after that, the breakout will go back together in the plenary, and there will be a debriefing of the subjects treated at the country level. And these, let's say, take place on Wednesday. And it will be taking place on a weekly basis for 6 weeks from the opening to the final session. So there's 6 similar sessions. Between the sessions, there will be one, let me call it private coaching session with the same outstanding international trainers that have been giving their speech in the plenary and animating the breakout rooms. Okay, so each single startup will have a private session with this coach once a week and go back to the next session. Okay, and again, similarly for all the sessions until the last one. The last one will be giving details on the final pitch to prepare. So what we expect is that after 5 and now 6 weeks of a similar training, your initial idea and proposal will be very much improved. And we challenge you to show this advancement and the new or the improved idea, the fine-tuned idea you have reached in a killer pitch, because this will last 1 minute. And after the same time for everybody, so after the end of the final session, we will give probably 5 days to all the participants to send us to submit a final pitch of 1 minute. And then we will sit together, always online, and see these 30 final pitches in front of an international jury, which is not the national jury working on the first proposal, okay? Totally external and coming from different countries. And exposed to these, let's say, 30 minutes, 30 products to evaluate per each country, the 5 best of them. Okay, this is the second selection step. And in the last session, the criteria will be defined how to present this pitch. So while the startups are working for present these for preparing this pitch, we will appoint the international jury. We will wait for the electronic submission of the pitch, and we will have the pitch presentation event. At that point, the evaluation phase will be very fast, I think, because we only have 30 objects, and we will quickly publish the results, which leads to the next phase, which is financial support and a coaching program. Okay, according to the selected proposals, we will try and search if the startup arrives with a angel or a parent incubator or innovation support organization of any kind. And in that case, we will try and arrange with these ISO how to go ahead for the coaching of the startup. Otherwise, we will just, based on the proposal received, be contacting one of the ISOs we are already in contact with at country level for them to follow this startup for 2 meetings a month until September. Now, I must specify something here. I told you earlier that the project is ending at the end of July. But as we know, it will be very difficult to organize live events within this term. And this is why we are trying to redesign the activities in order to stretch the duration of the coaching and having a final live event in Italy in autumn. And this also explains why the amount of the grants is increased from 7 to 10,000 euros, and why the number of selected startups to bring to the second step was increased from 4 to 5, because we have saved budget in mobility for the trainers and for the trainees to join, gather, have catering together and the like. Okay, and we replaced all this budget in terms of quality services for the startup trainees. Plus, we have added a dedicated supervision process for the incubator that works with the startups at stake. And here I should recall the 4 objectives of the project and the 4 expected results. I mean, in terms of strengthening the innovation support organization, the incubators. Okay, so whenever the coach is talking with you, not whenever, but over the 10 expected sessions of coaching, twice a month per 4.5 months, there will be in 4 out of 10, in 4 of these sessions, there will be an international expert, let's say, listening the coaching to give a feedback to the ISO, and this will increase the capacity of the ISO, and therefore the service given to the startup over the period. Okay, so we will have this coaching, and we will arrive at the end of the coaching with a highly refined business plan and strategy to bring to Italy for the brokerage event. Okay, brokerage event, I think you all know what it's about. It's a gathering in a very short time of outstanding and relevant actors of a given field. So what we will do is we will know the 15 candidates to come to Italy and what their business is about. We will find relevant actors to make them gather at this event in Italy. For this, we need overall organization, of course, the communication strategy to work together, and scoping relevant actors, inviting them, arranging their arrival, and arranging the arrival of the startups to Italy, so visas and logistics and so on and so forth. And finally, there will be these awaited arrivals in Italy and the one-day event in which we very much expect that the face-to-face meetings between startuppers and And the other invited business representatives, business leaders, and innovation makers, and so on, will lead to sound outcomes in terms of expansion of the initial idea presented within our call. Okay, this is the plot basically from the call to the brokerage event, right? And yeah, for any clarification, we're now ready to listen to your questions and try and see and solve everything now today. But be sure that after this session, we will collect the information, the questions, the replies given, and add the fact page, frequently asked question page, to the call page. And of course, you can refer to the three national coordinators that I mentioned earlier. That is Ms. Rula Bukozan for Lebanon, Mr. Samer Jarrar for Palestine, and Skander Ben Salem for Tunisia. Okay. And even too much of a talk on my side. Okay, so this is the final slide where you can see all the institutions involved in the implementation of this action. And yeah, I forgot the last slide saying thank you for your attention and so on and so forth, but